Okay, here we have a scene from a pitch deck that I'm working on. And this scene that I've already started in pencil is called the High Cleric Oldthorpe in the Mega House. So what I was given was some composites, some reference materials like you have that I've sent. And I've already started a base layer of pencil. And the copy that you have, you'll be able to reference, you'll be able to sketch over it, or even use a light table onto a watercolor paper for your reference. So that's it for the introduction of this piece, and I would like to then go through each of my phases of how I breeze through an ink phase of a watercolor, ink and watercolor sketch. Okay, let's begin. I'm going to begin with a 2, and I'm using Micron's fine liners. I also have on hand a 5 and a .005 for the lightest. I also have on hand the Lamy fountain pen with permanent ink inside of it. Okay. So I'm going to begin with going toward and attacking the edges, the main edges of this sketch, which are going to be here, along this edge, come up here. So this, I'm going to be formatting kind of the most distinct edges. And I'm going to do that with this sort of swooping across page type of line work. Follow the edge down, bring it in, bring it down. We have another edge across the middle. Same guy, bring it up, over. So this sketch here is actually symmetrical. So it'll be all the same moves on the opposite side. Yet this way, our hand is also going to be moving in the same direction, downward, almost in a downward motion. Okay. Just got a line on the bottom. Now have the bottom edge here. Keep following my edges. So at this point, I mean, I've already outlined the image in pencil, so it's all really a matter of my stylistic approach with the ink. Okay. So now we have the top edges here. And I'm also going to try to do another movement across the page here, the top edge. Same here. Let's fill these edges in. These forms. Okay. And then our last main edge is going to be this swooping stage. And it appears to be at a curve because this is well, it's a wide angle. It's more like a fisheye lens. It could be at a straight line, but it might also be at a slight curve. I don't know. But here we go. If I need to stop, I lift up my pen, give a gap, and I keep going. Let's go. All right. That's it for this phase of establishing our most prominent edges. Okay, next steps, I'm going to tackle the texture of the ceiling and the walls, and the screens. First, I'd like to do the screens because they are the most sort of key features on these surfaces. So, I mean, we already have it available. It's already, the line works here, but what we're going to be learning today is just sort of the line work, the motion of our hand. So I like to go down, verticals first, cross over, and I'm not really too worried about letting lines fly off or intersect. They don't need to always come to a point. It doesn't need to be perfect. Sometimes these imperfections, if they're inconsistent, it doesn't work. But if they're consistently imperfect, then it's okay. Then it works for the eye and everything seems to work well. Same thing. That one I kind of just went around it, didn't do the verticals first. Kind of wing it a lot of times, but I'm going to try to be a little bit more structured in the form of teaching. So bear with me. Let's complete this screen. Great. There is a little bit of a border with these screens, so we can apply that. Let's give it a little border. And when we're doing this, the whole process, there's no mistakes. You can always figure out a way to fix it. So if your lines somehow got too close to each other, you can always fix it after with a bolder pen or with some watercolor. There we go. Okay, so now since we're going to tackle the textured walls, this is more of a detail and stylistic approach that you'll be observing and joining along with me, actually. So I am going to look for a thin pen. Hopefully I have one. Okay, well, I went to go look for a thin pen in my messy drawer of pens. Let's see what I found. Got an old 01 that might work. I have this Copic multi-liner 0.05. That might be great if this is good. So let's check that out. All right, I'm going to go for the 0.05 Copic multi-liner. And this is, like I said, it's going to be more of a stylistic approach of how I choose to lift my pen in places, how to suggest detail rather than being so perfectionist with trying to get every line right. So since we have the line work already kind of set up on the page, it's going to be a lot easier for us. So as I view the references, I can just go for it. This process might take a while, so I'm going to go ahead and breeze through this area. I'm going to work up to here and then we'll see. So this line work is starting to come down now because of the perspective. Seems to be a curve on this building, so that change in types of line work shows that there's some form work on there. Now, what our goal here is to just suggest more than being exact. with everything because it's background work anyway. And what we're going to be doing is allowing the eye to subtly see everything and not be so specific. So it's kind of, or maybe that's my way of my justifying for being lazy. Okay. Going to bring out my 2 again for the ceiling curvatures. They're a little bit more, have deeper divots, deeper cuts in them. So just follow the trace or follow the reference here. So what we'll be learning here is the sort of my approach for clean line work. Having confident strokes. And here we go. So now these are going to connect along here. I can rotate my hand to get the job done. So it appears that I've missed some of these connections. I think that there's a little mini section here. So fill one more in here. All right, let's take it across now. The ceiling begins about here, this line. So I'd like to establish our limit of where the ceiling is. And let's take a line across. And then begin up here with our line work. It appears that there's like intersecting lines here. So let's go ahead and just take these across. And I'm gonna create my own little effect and curve them upwards a little bit. So it looks like these lines, since they intersect, they'll die into it. Kind of like a interlocking. Same thing as we go across. This sketch is definitely very an unusual workshop sketch, but I thought, hey, this is some work that I gotta do, and I might as well kill two birds with one stone, try to share it with y'all. Let's create these lines down. I'm just gonna continue using my 2, just a little bit lighter for these areas. Same deal with these, come up. I'm gonna continue here. I know I was using a 0.5 on the other side, but you know what? I realize I can use the 2. Same. All of our line work is going to be very consistent in terms of how we take it across the page. Just one after the other. This one I'm doing some pulls from these points. And then we can finish out this area. Okay. I'm gonna fix my left side now because it has a different line weight. So I think I'm just gonna take my lines and go over it. Okay, now we could fill the background. I think it looks smooth, but let's just finish that out. There's a lot of line work that we're working on here. This is going to be really great line work practice to be consistent with the way your lines appear to be on top of each other. So, and the spacing of them. So I'm just going to be quick in terms of how I show my line work. Boom, 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 boom. Same thing here. Now the way that I am holding my pen is at an angle, and it's to make it that the ink isn't as so defined, because this area is like the furthest background and I wanted it to be more suggestive. So I'm almost done here. Well, I can see that I forgot an edge here, and that's here. So let's connect this edge. So you see that? I used the same pen for that darker line. But with all these are all very light lines. So with these, I have just a lighter touch and a different angle to the pen. Instead of it being upright, it's more an angle, and I can do that. So we're just about done with the line work. There we go. Okay, now for this section, it's going to be a little bit tedious. We have all of the seats, and I've just outlined the initial rows, but the way that I'm going to approach, sorry for the horn, the way that I'm going to approach the seats, and as a whole, kind of a broad spectrum of it, is I'm going to see the lines. I'm going to see where the lines are. So, and I'll show you on the page. They're going to be here, here, here. And this way we can see, we're not drawing individual seats quite yet, but we're going to be outlining where the gaps of the seats are. So that is more or less prepared for us when we approach it. So let's start. I have one here. here, here, here. Okay, here's gonna be more or less like a, gonna follow the 1-point perspective. So that, same deal here with these. Okay, let's go for it in pencil to lay out these seats. Kind of having a hard time seeing it, but let's go for it. So I'm gonna start, because I'm gonna start with one edge, like we've done with everything else. I see there's one seat like here. And then I'm gonna go ahead with that same process, sort of with each one. And I know that the construction lines we've made is where the ends of the seats are gonna be. This is kind of grueling. I kind of hate it. This type of tedious line work, but we're almost there, and it makes me feel better that I know that somebody else is gonna do it with me. So I am still in pencil, and we're gonna have to do this again in pen, but it'll be a lot easier the next time around. Cool. Now I will eventually be adding participants in these seats, people, so that'll help. Okay, I'm gonna skip through this process, and everybody can. Well, actually, those seats they don't look too bad on the left. So now same deal here. And I might do a little time lapse on these sections, but one more row. Okay, I think the hardest parts there were done, because now these are all easier in perspective. One more row. Let's give it a little top. Excuse me. Okay, great. Okay, so we've gone through the whole process of laying out the seats together, and now I think at this stage I'm gonna crush through it with ink. We all have all the line work prepared for us there, and at this point I'm going to let it go as a time lapse, and you can watch kind of me breeze through this section. First, let me show you kind of the process of how I'm going to attack it, so that it's a little bit less overwhelming. First, going to go approach it with just having a consistent movement across the page. So I'm going to go cross, cross, tops of the seats. That way there's like some consistency. And then next, so I can finish this section out, I'm going to go and draw the sides. Well, I didn't draw this top. Go 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, well, crushed through that. Hopefully that wasn't too grueling. And the last piece for some of the ink for this stage is going to be just some things like I see some hidden doors here. We can add those doors. There's these little pedestals. And I'm using a 0.5 on this one. Okay. I think we're set. I think we're set. I think what maybe I'll add some texture to these door panels, or these panels here, just by adding some line work. Light, very light. Same deal here. It's going to be so light that you can barely tell. But it'll give it direction, it'll give it flow. Last one. Let's take the insides again. All right, that's it. Sorry for the burp. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. No. Up here we have some lights that there are showing here, so I want to put those in. Lights are important. Another light there, another light there. Two lights there. Let's put another one here. Okay. All done with the ink. Now, before we begin watercolor, I just wanted to show that I'd like to take this gum eraser. I've had this for a while. I think I might need a new one. Stretch it out, mold it back together. And we're just going to take off all of the pencil. Sometimes that gum eraser doesn't work that well. So I'm going to take this one. This one's really good, I guess. Apparently, the other one didn't work. Maybe I need a new one. All right.